Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Still Up by BB, the girl who would rather stitch than sew. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to cut and sew your pants.
This is a highly requested tutorial, so
let's get straight into the video. Okay, this is a 2 yards crepe. Alright, so here are the measurements that we would be using for this pants. Okay, waist, hip, lap, waist to hip, waist to body rise, waist to floor. Okay, so as you can see, the waist is 29. We're dividing that by 4. Your hip measurement is 40 here. Dividing that by 4 as well. Lap 24. We're dividing by 2, okay? Because it's just a single lap. So we're dividing by 2. Now, waist to hip is 9. Waist to body rise 11. Waist to floor 43. Now let's get into it. So know the exact amounts to use to fold. You have to use the biggest measurement amongst these two. That's between your hip divided by 4 and your lap divided by 2. So in this case, this measurement that I'm working with, my client's hip is 40, her lap is 24. 40 divided by 4 is 10, 24 divided by 2 is 12. So I'm using my lap measurements to fold this fabric. Alright? I hope you got that. I'm using my lap measurements to fold this fabric. So, because I want a free pant, I don't want this actual, measurement, I'm going to add 1 inch for fullness, just 1 inch. So I'm going to use 13, right? So 13 inches for my measurement, and then I'm going to add 2 inches to it. 1 inch each serve as my allowance. Okay, so that's 1 inch for side, 1 inch for crotch. Okay, when sewing, so that's 2 inches for sewing allowance. So that's 13 plus 2, which is 15. So I'm folding this fabric on 15 inches. Okay, the 2 inches I added to this measurement will also be added to this measurement. Okay, my waist, my hip. All right. So as you can see, my fabric is folded, and I currently have 15. Okay, so the major reason why I do this is so my fabric does not waste. Okay, this helps me save fabric, and I am all for saving fabric. Okay, moving on, I'm going to measure the length of the trouser that I need. Okay, I need length 43. Okay, so this is going to serve as my waist line. Okay, here will be the side, and here will be the crotch. All right, I'm going to go ahead to mark out my waist to hip measurements and my waist to body rise measurements. Okay, so my waist to hip measurement is 9 inches. I'm going to add ½ inch to that, and then I'm going to mark out 9.5. The reason I'm adding ½ inch is for my band. Okay, to have something to join back to my band. So this is my hip line. All right, the only measurement I mark around the side is my hip line. Okay, on the crotch side, I mark out my hip line as well as my body rise, which is also my flap. Okay, so I'm using 11, also plus half. I'm adding half to that, so that's 11.5. All right, so to impute my measurements, I'm going to start with my hip measurements. Okay, 40 divided by 4 equals 10, plus my 2 inches allowance, like I said earlier on, that's 12. But then I want it to be free around the hips for my clients. Okay, I don't want it body hugging the hip area, so I'm going to make it 13. The same 1 inch I added to this lap, I'll repeat the same thing around there. So 10 plus 3 inches, 1 inch for fullness, 2 inches for sewing allowance. Okay, so I'm marking 13, and I'll be measuring that from my side outward like this. Okay, so after doing this, I'm going to just keep marking my hip measurements all the way to the waistline. So that's 13 inches all the way to the waistline. So rule that line all the way to your crotch or your flap line. Okay, since we initially folded our fabric on the exact measurements we need, there is nothing to take around here. Okay, I have exactly 15 here, so there is nothing to touch around here. So I'm leaving this like this. All right, so the next measurement to impute is our waist measurement. So our waist measurement is going to stay intact. All right, it needs to be trimmed, it needs to be snatched, so it's going to stay intact. So we don't mess with the waist measurement. We're putting down 7.25 plus 2 inches allowance alone, which is sewing allowance. Okay, we do not need freeness around the waist, so there's no need for that. So that's 9.25. So for the waist, I'm going to measure it from this line, from this mark here, outward. Remember, for the hip, I measured from the side down to this point. Okay, for the waist, I'm measuring from here to this point, and I'm doing 9.25. Okay. And then for the crotch area around there, I'm just going to connect this to it. And this is it for your front pants. for now, okay? All right, so when cutting this, I'm just going to split here and cut here out like this, okay? All right, so for the back, the major thing that sets the back apart from the front is the butt, okay? So we had 2 inches extra to the back when folding. So remember, in front we folded 15 inches. At this back we are folding 17. Right, as you can see, 17. Place my front on my back. So I had my 2 inches to this side of my pants, right, the crotch side of my pants. After placing your front on the back, all you need to do is just to mark out 2 inches along the crotch area, okay? I already folded on 2 inches. I'm just going to mark the rest here. Alright, so note this. This needs to align to this at the back, okay? This crotch line, it needs to align with the one at the back, alright? So, same thing as we did for the front. All you need to do is just to curve this to meet this. Alright? It's honestly very easy. Cut out everything that you have there, okay? Alright, so after cutting out, one last thing to do on your pants is to trim off your waist in the front, okay? First of all, I'm going to cut my back waist to align with the front waist as it is. Then I'm going to trim my front waist, okay? One thing that I do to make my pants sit properly is to come down along my crotch here, just for the front waist. I'm going to measure, I use between 0.75 to 1 inch for this, okay? For this client, I will be using 0.75, and I measure that this way, and I connect it to, putting into consideration my seam allowance, the 1 inch seam allowance here, as well as the 1 inch seam allowance here. So let me measure this. So I'm going to connect from here to here. Rather than going up on my back, raising my back up, I'll just create a slope here. This balances my pants, and it works all the time for every size. For the pockets, I'm going to measure 2 inches below my waist line here. Then from that 2 inches, I measure 7 inches. From the 2 inches below, I measure 7 inches. I hope you got that. Yeah, so this, from here to here, this space here serves as where my pockets will go in, the opening for my pockets, alright? So I'm just going to snip this in so I can remember when I'm sewing. Just a little snip, nothing too crazy, as well as this part. And we are done for the cutting. For pockets, I really like deep pockets, okay? I really like pockets that has depth, so I like using 14 inches, and then for the wideness, I use around 14 as well. So one trick that I use to get my pocket size is by placing my fingers this way, my palm rather, this way, and then it covers all. The length, I'm going to use, say, 14 inches. Last thing to cut is the band. I prefer a very, not too slim but not too fat band, minimum of 3.7.5 or maximum of 4 inches. So our waist is 29, okay, plus 2 inches, so in other ones that's 31, so that's 15.5. Alright, so now that we're done cutting the pants, the pockets, as well as the band, okay, I'm going to go ahead to sewing, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is to join the pants leg to leg, okay? I call it leg to leg. So that is pick a piece of the front together with a piece of the back, all right? The good side facing the good side. As you can see, this is the good side of my front, this way. And then you stitch, then stitch this as well by this side. So I'm stitching with 1 inch, okay? So remember that the opening we did here is for pockets, okay? So when you get to this point, you skip and then you continue from this point, okay? So I'm going to sew both legs off camera. All right, now I've gone to sew my pants leg by leg. As you can see, this is one leg, this is the other leg, and I've gone ahead to weave the curved side, okay? This is the next important thing, okay? Make sure both points align when you're joining, okay? Make sure both joins come together seamless. This is forming up already. So this is the most important part for me. Okay, look at this. This needs to align together. All right, and I'm gonna head to join this, and then I left 8.5 inches here for my zip. You know, I'm going to be joining my band to this. Okay, so I would have a total of 9 inches, or sorry, a total of 9.5 inches for my zip length. All right, so now next thing we're going to do is to sew the pockets. All right. Alright, so I've sewn the pockets in, and this is it. Okay, this is what your side should look like. So the pockets inside. So as you can see this pin here, I pinned it in because I directed the pockets inside. Okay, this is the pockets. I directed it to face the front. Okay, so it's kissing each other right here. Okay, we only have that on the back. Okay, on the back. So what we do is you go ahead to place this against each other. That's zipper allowance with side allowance. All right, I already did mine, so I'm going to do this just to get the midpoint to notch. So that will be where I will take my darts from. Now to sew in your darts, for me I prefer using length 5, 5.5 or 6 for my darts. Okay, you might want your shorter, that's your choice, but I like it a little bit long for me. Okay, and yeah, I'm going to take in 1 inch here for my darts. So the reason why I do this 1, 2, 3 is just so I can sew it seamlessly into number 6. Let's call it number 6. I don't like my darts puffy, so I like achieving this on my darts. Okay, so now this is what the band looks like. If you'd like to watch how I fixed my band, check the link in my description box, and I have a short video on how to sew in your band seamlessly like this. All right, thank you so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you learned a thing or two. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Do not forget to subscribe, like, give a comment, and I'll see you in my next video.